Well, welcome to the Post Sunday app. I'm excited you're visiting with us today. We have a special guest with us on the Post Sunday app. Emily, our video guru, and I were talking about how to do the Post Sunday app this week because a lot of our staff are out of the office, and she had an idea to have one of my kids come in and kind of show how you can talk to your child about the sermon. So this is Addie. She is my oldest daughter. She's 8 years old, almost 9. A couple weeks, right? Are you excited for your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's a 3rd grade, and she's pretty much the coolest 8-year-old in the Davison family. So I'm glad you're here with me. But we're going to talk about the sermon. And do you remember I was up there yesterday? What do you think about when your dad's up there on the stage giving the sermon? Do you think that's cool? Do you think it's weird? What do you think?
I think it's cool.
You think it's cool?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, good. Well, we talked a lot about compassion ministry and how we, because we have experienced so much mercy from God in saving us, that we can show that mercy to other people. Remember that theme of the sermon?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got some questions here for us, all right? So one of the questions that I was emailed about was, when we do compassion ministry, we're helping other people, how do we bring up the gospel? When do we bring up the gospel? What would you say? How should we bring up the gospel?
Always.
We should do it all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean by that when you say always? What do you think? Well, let me give you an example. Okay, you can tell me if we did the right thing. I mentioned in the sermon that a lady called our church asking for some help in her basement, and a man from our church and I went over to her house. And then when we were getting ready to leave her home, we said to her, "We just want to let you know the only reason why we're here is because God first loved us, and we want to show that love to you." So it wasn't like, okay, we're going to work on your basement, and then we're going to talk about Jesus at a whole separate other time. They're kind of integrated into the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is that what you meant by always?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the way I would answer that too is the same way, Addie, that we always talk about the gospel. Because we are believers in Jesus Christ, there's never a time where we separate out our faith from what we do. We're always motivated to talk to people about Jesus, no matter what we're doing, whether we're helping them in compassion ministry, or I was thinking of an example of when we're at a restaurant and the server comes up to take our order, and after they're done we can say, "Hey, we're about ready to pray and thank God for our food. Anything we can be praying for you?" Could we do that at a restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do those types of things, always talking about the gospel. So it's not a separate thing. I also got asked too, Addie, about the gospel and compassion ministries. Where in the Bible does it talk about the gospel and compassion and directly linked? And I think the passage we were in, Luke 10, does that because it's in the context of how do we inherit eternal life. Look at Mark 10, how do I receive eternal life? It talks about compassion. Those are linked. So Addie, here's a question for you. You're a kid, right? Should kids be involved in compassion ministry, or how should we get kids involved in compassion ministry?
You should bring them when you do compassion ministry.
You should bring them with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because when I went with that man to the lady's house that needed help in her basement, do you remember who came with me?
Avery.
Yeah, Avery came with us, didn't he? And so we can always bring our kids with us when we do it. In fact, you might not know this, but at Bethany Community, a lot of times when I ask people to serve in ministry or to consider serving, I ask them if the husband and the wife would serve together. If the opportunity is there, I say, "Hey, would you and your wife want to serve together?" And then when you're serving together, you can bring your kids and they can serve with you too. So think about it. Do we ever talk about ministry at our breakfast table?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we ever talk about what God's doing at Bethany Community when we're eating together?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that, don't we? And a lot of times you guys already know what we're talking about because you're serving with us. You've gone on hospital visits with me. You know, do you like going there at the hospital?
Yeah.
Especially when the little babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sometimes hard when you see people who are sick. Yeah, but it's great to do it together. I love bringing. In fact, I had someone say to me once, "I'm so glad you brought Addie with you when you came and visited me in the hospital." So that's fun. Yeah. Okay. Well, one last question for you. Someone asked me this. What should we do if we discover that the person we're helping, we discover they lied to us, or that maybe they really didn't need the help with their phone bill because they have a brand new iPad right on their coffee table when we go visit them? What should we do when we find that out?
We should still love them and tell them about Jesus.
Yeah. We don't just say, hey, I'm done with you, do we? And how can we still love them? What can we do to show that we still love them? Well, I think you said it, didn't you? You said, tell them about Jesus. Is there anything else we could do for them? I'm asking you tough questions, aren't I? Yeah. Yeah. Could we say that we still want to be their friend?
Yeah, and I still love them.
Yeah. Could we still call them and ask them how they're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used this phrase in the sermon yesterday. I said, we're not withholding mercy. We're not saying we're not going to show mercy at all to you. We're just changing how we show mercy, isn't it? So if we help someone with their phone bill and then we discover they have that brand new iPad they just bought, if they ask for money again, we think we should give it to them? It's kind of hard to figure that out, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say, maybe we say, hey, let's look at your budget. We're going to change the form of mercy I'm going to show you. I'm not going to necessarily just give you the money, but I'd like to look at your budget with you if you'd be okay with that, and talk about how you could better use your money instead of buying that iPad. Maybe see if they have the receipt for that iPad and offer to drive them to the store to return it so they can use that money for their phone bill next time. Things like that. Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you did a good job today. Do you want to do this again with me, or do you think this is it? What's that?
I'll do it again with you.
You want to do it again? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe next week we'll see if you want to come back or if maybe one of your brothers. You're pretty brave to do this. Good job. Hey, send some more questions in. We'll be talking about compassion next week as well, part 3 of that sermon series. So thanks for joining us today. You want to say bye?
Bye.
See you.